Morning, everyone. Excellent, it works as well. Firstly, just thanks to Andy. I didn't see where you sat down, sorry. I thought brilliant what you said, and I think we could spend our 45 minutes probably talking more about what Andy said, because it reflects perfectly on what we want to talk about. What was quite nice to see is that he feels this is an opportunity, and certainly myself and Stuart hopefully today will talk about us believing this is genuinely the opportunity for our business. First of all, though, just to explain, my name's Shorey-Mills. I have been working for Hughes now for about 18 years. Yeah, I'm not as old as I look, so apologies. I started just as a work experience lad and then worked my way through, and over the last couple of years, as Declan correctly said, I've been heading up the smart home angle for Hughes. I'd like to think that I've sort of seen retail both on the good times and the bad times in that short time I've been involved in the industry, certainly a lot less than some of you here, I appreciate. But that sort of gives me the angle to understand what we try and do at Hughes sort of makes sense. With Hughes, just for those of you not aware, we have been established now almost 100 years. We have a yearly turnover in excess of 110 million through various platforms. We are very much an omni-retailer. I know that's been mentioned a few times in the past, but we very much try to make sure that that customer journey, wherever it starts and finishes, we have an option for that customer. We also, as well as sell, rent and do everything from there, we offer the full service for the customer afterwards. And again, something that Andy touched on a few times was about the need to do something after the sale. Obviously, we're spread now throughout the UK, and particularly, we work with others to increase the customer interaction. And what we mean by that is we don't just wait for the customers to come to us, we create environments where the customers, we go follow them. And that could be new shops in locations that suit the customers, because we know they're all changing. Increasing ranges and changing our ranges from CE to white goods onto SDA and now to the smart home market. We have a warehouse that's suitable for our suppliers as well as our customers. And of course, brilliant as well, Andy said, we take trade shows to the consumer to really try and engage with them in a way that makes them understand it. What I will quickly point out is, thank you for Andy for only using 2 slides. We have more than used up his allowance in our slides. So, hand you over to Stuart.
Thanks, Ash. Yeah, morning all. Just like to introduce myself and also what we do. First of all, I'd like to thank Retra for having us here. Certainly myself, I think it's about 3 years ago, we spoke on the profit opportunity with custom installation. To be fair, I'm normally invited back twice. It's once to say what I think and second time to apologise. So AWE, just want to give a bit of background as to who we are and why we're here. As we're a family-owned business, goes back about 80 years. So 4th generation family ownership. I'm sure there's a lot of companies in here that can relate to changes of generation and so on. And also how really a company needs to continue to evolve to survive over times. So we were a manufacturing business, and when I was growing up, that's what was happening. But then my dad opened a hi-fi shop. Pioneer, Laserdisc, ProLogic, just when home cinema was coming out. So I was a Saturday boy, and that was about 25 years ago. Used to spend more money than I earned on the pizza at lunchtime, and we used to heat up apple pies on a Class A Pioneer amp. So things have come a long way since then. Urushi Finish, we found was the best heating method product. So moving on, we have evolved quite a bit from where we were previously. So now a business, we're not a ginormous business, but we're very well respected in our niche sector of the custom install, what's widely becoming known as connected home, smart home market. Got about 9 people on the sort of product technical sales side, out of a total of just over 20 staff. And then we've got additional warehouse and everything run out of our main office. This is where we have invested a lot recently, about in the last 2-3 years. Coming from a small retail premises in Thornton Heath with a turn of the century, and that was the 1900s factory. This is now where we operate from. We've invested in a long lease. This is really looking to the future. This was off the back of a number of hard years through the recession, through product withdrawals and so on. But we really feel confident that now is the time to invest in the business. If you're looking for the future and you want to still be going in the future, then certainly that's why we're here to promote smart home. So within this, we have created a showroom, which really shows everything that we can do, because smart home is different from people walking into a store and buying a box off the shelf. And distribution, our take on distribution is different from buying a box. We only make money when a brown box goes out the warehouse and somebody pays us for it. But actually what we're selling is a lifestyle. And that is what the job is for us as a industry partner and yourselves as retailers and suppliers. We're actually selling the end result, the benefits. We're not selling the individual black boxes and the technology. So we find a very strong show environment makes this possible. So this is our cinema room. It's been created by our own staff, everyone in-house, all the technology from within it. You can go onto YouTube, onto the AWE channel and see a tour of this facility. It's just a 3-minute tour. It's based in Epsom. But what we've done is created this facility, and it is for the industry to use. Primarily, it was set up for independent installers, because obviously retailers have their own premises, but we are finding a lot of interaction coming from manufacturers and also retailers, you know, you're all very welcome to come down, preferably not at once, and please let us know in advance, but you are very welcome to come down and see what we do. But also we set up a smart home academy. We've always done training, smart home, connected home. These are all things different names for basically the same thing, which is integrating electronic equipment in a residential premises. We've been very active in this. We're very strong training. We're a multi-award-winning company. CEDIA being one of the key associations of what was custom install industry. Retra are obviously increasingly involved, and I can see partnerships between associations happening with electrical contractors and electrical associations as well, aerial installers. These are all industries that are actually coming together to widen the opportunity that we all have. Training is an important part of that, and you can see that by the majority of people here. I think it was 88% believing connected home is a positive part of our future, but I think it was 51% feel confident in their ability to service that. So training is very important, and whether it's through Retra, CEDIA, AWE, ourselves, or other companies, that is a strong step that I'd recommend you're looking at. We basically set ourselves up to meet the different requirements. So for example, ultra-large screen TVs, 100-inch screens, not many people can maneuver them. So this is just an example of us using internal staff, retraining them, getting them insured, putting everything in place, adding a vehicle or two to enable us to deliver that sort of product to consumers. Because those big screens, whether it's 85-inch, 100-inch, it might seem a long way off, but trust me, there are people in most towns that are capable and willing to buy them if they're seen to be a viable option for them. Not every town, but it is an example of something you need to prepare for. Why are we here?
Yeah, why are we here? Well, for a start, I mean, I'm not brilliant at maths, but I swear it said 13% don't think, and 88% said they did think it was a good idea. Now, I'm not sure who the extra 1% is, but we're aiming really for that, and I suppose in respect, the 88% to help cement your opinion that this is the way we need to go, and for the other 12 to 13% to really understand and turn you around to think that actually this is the thing. But for me and Stuart, we want independents to be successful. You know, I'm part of an independent electrical retailer. Stuart comes from that background, and we feel that this is the way we can differentiate ourselves from the challenges that are out there nowadays. So we'll look at why buy from an independent retailer nowadays? Because so much of the value added has been eroded by the market that we're in. So rather than continuing to look at the same channels to find that value add, why not look at something different? And we think, okay, we've classed it as the smart home, mentioned by Andy that it's the connected home possibly that it could develop into, but that's where we believe that this next value add is for an independent retailer. However, we know the world isn't as idealistic as we like it. So just for a bit of fun, let's have a play. What are the issues that we are faced with nowadays as independent retailers? Well, the first big one is, of course, if it comes up, there we go, the internet. It's a bugger, isn't it? Hey, that causes us all our problems. What could be a solution, Stuart?
I think we should tax it, to be honest. I think that's probably a good solution that could work globally. I think that's
solves it instantly.
Yep.
Okay, next one, high business rates. Damn local governments. They keep charging us more for our shops, destroying our high streets.
Lobby them. Let's spend our time
Damn
lobbying
right.
the governments. I think this is the way forward.
Okay, next option, Brexit. Well, we had a vote a bit earlier. That's caused us problems as well, hasn't it? So,
I think we need another vote, don't we?
actually, we got the result I wanted on that one, so can we go with that?
Yeah.
Thank you, brilliant. Excellent.
Maybe it was the buttons.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
And actually, again, Andy mentioned it, suppliers. They're a problem, aren't they? Wouldn't our life be so much easier without suppliers?
I think, yeah. I mean, let's just boycott the ones who need to find ways of selling their products. Yeah, because
Fantastic. So all of that, it creates probably not a huge amount, but wasted time and wasted effort. We're all far too busy than that. So maybe a little bit more obvious. Okay, cheap pricing and competition. That's quite tough out there nowadays.
just match it.
Yeah, brilliant. Free delivery and installation.
Match it. Do
Brilliant. Okay.
away.
User-friendly website. We need one of those nowadays. So,
it. Yeah, you can buy them.
oh yeah, good point. Yeah, brilliant.
Just
Just
build
buy,
one.
but buy a ready-made one.
Yep.
And everyone, John, there's certain retailers out there that give away a free warranty.
Yeah, there's lots of money in warranties. So unless you can't sell one, so we'll just give
We'll
it
just
away.
provide
We'll just
one.
give it,
Brilliant.
Just match it. John Lewis.
Okay, so
We're there.
maintain the norm, but at the expense of profit. Well, again, that's not really developers in any way. However, there is an alternative, we believe. Firstly, to differentiate. Create something that gives that consumer something different in your store that they cannot get elsewhere, i.e. from a national retailer or online. It could be a fellow independent if they haven't taken the leap. But add value to that customer. We talk about footfall a lot, is decreasing. Margins are decreasing. So therefore, if we can add value to that customer by offering an extra, what we class within Hughes as a full basket of products, then therefore, that one customer, you can make more money out of that one customer. You don't need to see quite so many. If then you're offering a service that brings more people to your store as well, it's a win-win situation. And particularly, charge for a higher level of service. As much as it's tough out there nowadays with the internet, with free delivery and installation and free this and free that, we pay our guys and our ladies in our stores to do a great job. So why are we not justifying them properly by charging them for this service? And it's not just about just a washing machine being installed and having to charge for that when certain retailers and online places might be free. It's actually then, okay, what can we do to change what we currently do to then be able to charge? What can't the internet do to enable us to charge for this service and justify? So what would that do? Increase margin? In theory, certainly, as in our experience. Increase turnover and open yourself up to a much larger, wider customer opportunity. And we think the solution is the connected home or the smart home in this. And why accept the slide? I've taken the figures off for a bit of fun, but that's a common, I know we all have a graph here, but that's a common graph that sadly over the last couple of years we've seen. And what could that be? Oh, TV average price. That's been a slide that's been going down for a little while, sadly. It could be footfall. That's been a problem. It could be margins. That's the killer of everything. And it could be turnover. But wouldn't it be much nicer to have one that goes the opposite direction? Now, of course, that could be staff cost. Hey, we all know this. But again, that's not going away, so let's justify those staff a little more. Our TV average price through the smart home service we've done has done the complete opposite to any normal, because we're able to demonstrate the massive advantages that our suppliers create in their televisions. It could be turnover growth. That's on the upward spiral, and I keep getting targeted higher and higher, so I have to hit those targets, don't I? It could be margin improvement. On average, we see, I know that some figures Andy said, but we see a 50% increase in our sales value through smart home on what there would be in the shop, and a 60% gross profit increase as well. And if anything, that's only getting a larger difference to a shop sale because of the types of products we're selling. And of course, the range of products for sale. But key to this, with the smart home, with the people like what AWE can do and plenty of other brands out there, is these are products you can sell without the need to stock. So therefore, all of a sudden, you need to showcase them in your shops, but you don't need warehouse fulls of these things. That's the great thing. And of course, mention the experts. I'm not going to read all these, but there is constant stats everywhere about what the IoT, the connected home, the smart home is going to become. And apologies to GFK if I've nicked some of yours that you're going to say later. But I will refer to one or two of these a bit later. But the market is being talked about. Andy has just said today in particular that this is the thing that he thinks you should all be listening to. Great, because I think that, but hey, you all know Andy, you haven't got a clue who I am, so hopefully you'll listen to him. Hey, Stuart.
So this is where, as Asher said, we really want independence to succeed. And that's something inside both of us that just says we've come from that retail shop floor and we're keen for that to happen. Of course, there are also business reasons why we want that to happen. But you have really good reasons to look for your own businesses that we just covered. I think Andy said it was biggest profit opportunity for 20 years. So, you know, we really need to listen to these things. So we gave some thought as to, actually, there are some things, there are some big reasons how you guys as independents have some substantial advantages over others in the market. And, you know, we've put them all up on there, so, but I would like to go through them. You're known in your community. So if you think about, at the moment, your boiler needs servicing, it fails, which if it's going to, or it's getting cold, it's going to happen soon. You can look at review sites and things like that, so you can get ideas, but you don't really know who's going to turn up. Now imagine you're putting not just your heating, but you're putting your internet security. So it isn't just entertainment, but you're putting your security. You might have IP cameras around your property, for example. You really need to trust the people that are providing the smart home solutions. And as an established retailer, you're known in the community, you have that advantage, you've been there for years. So when somebody looks towards a connected home, you need to position yourselves as being in the market for that, because these people typically don't walk through the front door at the moment, because electrical retailers aren't known for offering that type of service. And when they do walk in, you see a lot of fairly standard consumer electronics lined up. And if you start talking about networking or IP cameras, we can see at least 50% aren't confident in their ability. And I would suggest, from my own experience, exhibitions and so on, there's fewer who could actually deliver a full connected home at the moment. I think far fewer, if we're honest. But that is the opportunity. You have that physical presence, but you also have an existing customer base. So you have a database. Hopefully you've got computers, and it's not all on sort of bits of paper, but that database is so valuable. So if you're going back to those same people that you sold products of the past, we all have conversations where we say, oh, do you remember Kuro? Or do you remember this? Do you remember that? How good it was? Well, those people, most of them, are still around. They may or may not be living at the same address, but you may have collected email addresses or so on. So if you start introducing a new service, you can go straight back to your existing customer base that you have built up over years and years and say, do you know that screen? You probably already do this, those white goods or that screen. Well, there's newer versions, but do you know we also offer this now? Have you thought about security cameras, or have you thought about you know, those 4 remotes that I put the little bits of electrical insulating different coloured on and told you what order to press them? Do you know we can actually just make that happen very simply now for a relatively inexpensive cost? But you're already physically in people's homes. So this comes back to the conversation about charging for the things you do. Don't be ashamed to charge proper money for a better service. So the temptation is to, as we, you know, tongue-in-cheek said, you know, the temptation is to match the cheapest out there because you feel you have to. Whereas actually the reality is offer something different, offer something better, and charge for it, because that's where your margin is coming from. The products are always going to be more squeezed in margin. They're less squeezed very often in the connected home type product or the more advanced specialist products than they are in the main mass market. Because basically if you can buy it online and you're just buying a number on a box, the margin is going to be a race to the bottom, and you can't always look to manufacturers to say, hold on, you need to give us more because we've got bricks and mortar. You need to actually set yourself apart and give the manufacturers a reason to come to you and say, you are doing something different. You are adding value to our box that we are producing, and therefore we're going to incentivize you to expand that service and sell more of our products. So with that, it does come knowledge, and I think there's actually already been a big shift over the 3-4 years. I was working with Tony Dugdale for a good 2 or 3 years looking at retailers, and very much it was a case of not really wanting to accept the connected home, I think is probably it. Too busy to learn about it. But now 88% in this room certainly are saying, no, we recognise it's important. So the next thing is to take physical steps, and Ash is going to sort of give examples as to how you can actually take those practical steps, and how we've worked with Hughes to do that.
Yeah, and just quickly actually on the independent advantage, in the last couple of days the Barclays digital report was released, and it says 66% of people who are interested in this don't want a DIY option. They want someone to do it for them. Well, if 9 out of 10 people understand that there's something happening in a connected home market, and 66% of those 9 out of 10 people want someone to do it for them, has there never been a bigger opportunity for us to really take advantage?
What percentage is that, Ash? 9 out of 10, 66%?
I don't know.
Overall,
still 60%, isn't it? That's fine, easy. I did my maths, I got a C. Okay, so Hughes, just briefly, I didn't see Tony was here. Hi, Tony. It was about 3.5 years ago that Tony, along with Stuart and another retailer, came along and spoke with Robert and Andy and a few of our senior managers at Hughes and suggested this market was coming about. And so we decided that, hang on, let's look into this. Let's see if we can understand a little more about what this market is that they're talking about. Connected home, smart home. Back then, IoT was mentioned, but it was 3 random letters and it didn't really have much traction anywhere. So we sort of wanted to then really see how we could introduce this into Hughes. Now, of course, there is already, and has been for years, quite an established custom install market in the UK. But obviously in the main, this is 40, 50, 60,000 pound houses. This is around the area where football clubs tend to be very big and they have a lot of money. But for the normal person on the shop floor or normal person in their home, it was something that was not really available. However, we spotted within Hughes, we feel we do a very good service with our customers. But there's a big gap between what we will do and other retailers and what a custom install company does. And really that middle ground is what we decided to particularly aim for. People who got a little bit of money, got the desire to want to spend that money on proper equipment, but actually still want some level of control and don't have to change everything. Very much, as it's been described a few times, as money-rich, time-poor people, people that want the advice but don't need it from scratch installed for a 6-figure sum. And so we worked alongside some people, like the likes of Stuart and his team at AWE, to really then set up a team that was designed around adding value to an existing shop sale. And that was how we started it. Yes, you can control everything in your home. We knew that would be possible, but there was no point jumping in right from the start. So we just wanted to be able to control our existing customers and add value to that customer to make us relevant over an electrical retailer from another company. So really we needed, by identifying a customer, to find out a way to get that customer to us. So we worked with the staff in the store and also through external media to really tell people that all of a sudden we have this service. And the way it worked is we would send a dedicated member of our team out to a customer's house and actually, in essence, do the sales process in the customer's home. Now, of course, on the face of it, hang on a second, that's someone out of the store, that's going to cost a bit of money to go see someone. However, selling in the home, there's a reason some other types of businesses only do it this way, because it's so much easier. The customer trusts you, the customer relies on your knowledge, and from Hughes' angle, of course, we're trusted by the customer, so they open arms, invite us into their house. We're then able to look at where they want their television, where they want their soundbar, where they want their new white goods, and then really make sure it's the right product on the first time, but then also add the additional and ancillary products that in the store we never would have had the opportunity to get hold of. So, of course, this is the whole adding value to that customer. And then what very much happened as we moved through is we started to get more and more staff and customers being aware of this service and then calling us back for other things. And it wasn't callbacks because there's a fault, it was callbacks because when you were in here, you also mentioned about you could improve my Wi-Fi at home. It's always terrible at 6 o'clock in the evening. How can you do that? All of a sudden we're going out and we're installing access points or new routers or running cable, ideal. And really over the process, this was then how we started to grow slowly. And this is the key, one of the things we want you to take away today is that we've still got a few years before this takes over and becomes the big animal that we all believe it will. And it's about small steps. There are things you can do with your existing customers, your existing infrastructure, to take advantage of the smart home market and then slowly learn. So we just, at the start, it very much was just about installing a TV and a soundbar and some kitchen appliances. But all of a sudden, these customers that were after a TV would go visit the house and they want a projector installed. We don't have projectors in any of our stores. We don't make cinemas in any of our stores. But by going out to a customer's house, it was suddenly, wow, we can do that. We can help you with that. We work with the builders and away you go. It could be that, yeah, someone wants a TV in their kitchen, but not sure what they wanted. We went out, suddenly it's a 55-inch TV, it's a well-known multi-room soundbar, and all the white goods and advice on the kitchen. It could well be that they just want no cables. It could well be that they want a flashy fish tank that lights up. You know, we just advised them on that. Obviously, we didn't supply that one. But the idea was that we could add value to what traditionally would have been a wall-mounted TV, probably with a bit of conduit, and we'd charge 100 quid and the customer's happy. But where we wanted to really go from there, once that early part of the market had been established, is investing in training. This is really the key behind it. When I first had the conversations with the likes of Tony, Stuart, and the other parties that were involved at the start, very much I knew of CEDIA, for example, as an industry board, but felt they were custom install. They were not what we were looking at. They can stick with their 40, 50 ground houses. We're just happy with the bog standard and making it a bit nicer. But actually become very apparent that we needed to be able to do networking. We needed to understand fundamentals of things a little bit more. So then we met with CEDIA, and actually we realised that what CEDIA as an organisation were doing was coming down, in the nicest possible way, from the custom install level to this smart home market. They had identified that between normal retail and custom install, there was this massive market that they could get involved in too. So we worked alongside CEDIA, which we've got Matt here from CEDIA today, who's going to be outside on the AWE stand if any of you want to talk to him, and I urge you to really help us understand, A, where the market was going and how big it could be, and the obvious areas to move into, but also the slow process of what we needed to make our customers have a better experience. Because from day one, we could have trained on how to install smart lighting in a house. Wonderful. We'd have had very little business from it because we've got no other understanding. But actually, an iterative approach, small little steps to make sure that we could offer a customer a good experience whilst our staff are able to keep with us. So then very much it came growth and expansion. As I said earlier, we have grown in excess of 30% year on year, every year so far. We've gone from a team when we started of 2 plus me. At the time I was managing a store as well as setting this up. We've now got a team of 7 full-time salespeople plus somewhere between 10 and 12 installers. And we keep them busy. You know, we're doing on average 3 or 4 jobs every week. To the point now with our expansion, we're growing that to massive levels of large, week, 2 week at a time installs. And it's all been a very slow process to really try and engage with the customers, engage with the market through external media, through advertising. Stuart mentioned earlier, proactivity to our existing customer base, the people that spent the money with us a few years back, just contacting them. Let us come out and have a look, make sure it's all working all right. And while we're there, did you know we're now doing this? What a wonderful service this could be. And we get so much business from that angle. And of course, new products. I said earlier, you know, we have been, as a retailer, I would like to think we've been quite forward-thinking with the way we've changed from Hughes TV and audio some years ago to really embracing MDA in particular, more recently SDA, you know, technology in grey when it turned up. And now very much it's about the smart home products. And I've just picked a Loxon picture. Now, Loxon is a brand that we absolutely love, in all honesty, anyway. But all of those little circles, not that you're going to be able to see all of them, they represent everything in a home that is smart home. So if you imagine, we're currently doing TVs and audio, you can probably see there's one circle on there for TV and audio. There's one for MDA. The rest of it is the opportunity that the connected home brings. Now, I'm not saying every single person here needs to suddenly do solar panel control, but it's actually, if you can do lighting and heating and security, doing solar blind control is as easy as that. It's an easy add-on. It's the understanding the infrastructure at the start that is key and the training in this product. And we're very much now, we've taken that journey where we've gone from taking our existing customers that happen to wander in our stores and our salespeople serve them and say, don't buy that just right now. You know, I think you need something a bit extra. Sending a team out and then adding on a bit of extra value to now actually getting the whole home solution. And as of literally the last couple of days, we've now built our first show apartment. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, I do apologise. I have bombarded pictures with plenty of hashtags and @ symbols, but we needed to be able to show people what we could actually create in their home, because you can tell someone, you can have a larger TV, you can go to 65 inch, that's quite easy in the home, but actually saying, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could set 3 scenes for your lighting in your kitchen? It's a bit more difficult. So what we then did is took an old meeting room in one of our stores and turned it into a showroom, a little 4-room set, but in there is every aspect of smart home control for a normal home. But now we can actually invite people along and show them what we do. Now, I want to repeat this is 3.5 years down the line. This is not something we felt we needed to do from day one, and I'm not saying to any of you here today that this is now, if you're not doing Connected Home, you've got to go and build an apartment tomorrow that includes all of these products. But actually, start to understand these products now. Start to really get engaged with your teams and your installers to spot these opportunities. Because yes, the white goods market is now so rapidly becoming connected. We've seen it, we see it every month. Was it, I forget in the last ERT what brand it was, another brand saying that everything's going to be smart within the next year or two. And you know, we chose a brand that because we thought they were great products, but it's about it being connected and the options and the opportunities that this brings, so it's not just a CE thing. And of course you've got to have a cinema. If you're going to build a showroom like that, you've got to have a cinema hidden in the ceiling that drops down. But hey, why not? This is what customers want. So very much what we tried to create was a room that if you walked in, it just looked like any other living room, but all of the technology is hidden, it's easy to use, it's easy to explain, and it's actually, in inverted commas, easy to install for a good retailer. So the customer gets a solution that works for them, but also retailer gets a sale with margins that works for them too. And I just very quickly, I'd say loads of stats on there, but I'll have to apologise. I forget where the one in the middle left comes from. I think it was Deloitte, but I can't remember. But they said the approach is likely to be, a slow approach is likely to be the best one. It is important to start with small projects and investments at the same time as developing a strong, ambitious vision for the future. You can do it now. You could literally go back now and start a smart home service in your current shop, and it wouldn't be very difficult to do. And then you can work with AWE, with Celia, for very, very low cost training that would give you instant add-on and instant success. I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever. And then whilst you're bringing in that extra money, that extra profit, that extra margin, you can then start to understand that little bit more about what the smart home market is becoming. Stuart.
So we really wanted to close with a call to action. Appreciate it's been 35 minutes of us talking at you, and very
we're under time, Declan.
Very much hope that we can spend more time outside when we can speak more together. But really, the starting point is to understand your current customer, but also it's not just your existing customer, because they're the people who have been walking through your door, and those are probably, unless you're very fortunate or very, very good as an independent store, they're probably fewer and further between. So we need to encourage people to come to you, but also reach out to them. Understand that existing customer, what's your immediate sell-up opportunity to them? Because if they're pulling in a reasonable car, or you're in a reasonably wealthy area, you will be able to sell more to the existing customer. Mm-hmm. But a big thing here is actually understanding the wider opportunity. So it's beyond those people who you already expect to walk through the door. It's those people who wouldn't think of walking into the store, because as touched on previously, you don't offer smart home. You're not out there necessarily at the moment promoting yourself as a connected home, smart home, and installation business. So it's understanding that there's a lot of people in the community, in pretty much every town, not every town, who can have some level of connected device and additional sell-on. And as Ash has touched on, that doesn't have to be going straight in, putting a big showroom, massive investment, and going for the big installations, because potentially you can get burnt if you don't take the steps. So please do work with Cedia, ourselves, and there are other companies available. Please just give some specific thought into understanding what your next steps are. If you're one of those 88% that said, yeah, you believe this is part of the opportunity, then
Perfect.
please do something about it and make specific inquiries. Put time in your diary aside to do this, because if not, you will get wrapped up in the daily business and you will be waiting for people to come through the door. So you have to look at it. Whether it's visiting us, we're in Epsom, South London, very welcome. I'm sure the guys at Hughes would be open
I have to ask my boss.
to chatting. But what we have found working with CEDIA and association is actually it is a very positive, collaborative type industry. There are people sharing, even Twitter and social media and so on. You can learn an awful lot, but there's nothing like making specific efforts yourself.
Yeah.
And it's up to you as business leaders to define where you want to go at what speed. But that does have to start with some very positive steps.
And it has to start somewhere. I think that's the key. You see the stats. I think you speak to your customers. The vast majority of people know the smart home is happening. They don't know what it is, because if you just Google smart home, it confuses me, let alone a normal customer that's been having a good wander online. So, but the customers are out there. Eventually, DIY products will become more mainstream. They're already trying. The heating market in particular is a massive aspect of a DIY product. When I got picked up this morning, has got a nest in his house. So it's already there. However, there is an option where we can get this customer now, because your customers that you've lived off for years, and we've all got very loyal customer bases, eventually they will want a smart home related product. So they will come to your shop like they always have done. Of course they will, but as soon as they walk in and see the same four walls, so to speak, with the same products on them, they will feel you irrelevant. And they will then go to a large chain of stores and suddenly realise they might get the wrong advice, they might buy the wrong product, but it's in front of them. Whereas if you can then say, no, do you know what, we do this, we can involve in this, and then even the DIY products, people will happily pay for the service, but then you can offer them something different. And that's the big thing. Customers are getting harder and harder to come by. Can we afford to let them go somewhere else? That's the thing we were going to ask.
I think where Hughes have really identified, having gone through the process, relevance, I think it was Robert, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was used. What's the relevance to our customer? And that's a very valid question when you've got that many stores and you've got this many people coming in, because the obvious place to start is your existing customer. But there's a big new market, certainly we strongly believe, which is coming between the very high-end traditional multi-million development sector and the DIY. Because at the bottom end, I can tell you, they don't need you, they don't need us. Amazon, Google, Apple, they don't need us. Okay, they're direct consumer, cheap, low margin, high volume, plug and play, all these things. It will come. It doesn't happen at the moment, but they don't really need us. The bit in the middle is where we can add value to a more mid-level consumer. And that's the place to encourage you to look. It's the integration of these mass market products that have brought the technology prices down. It's integrating those products with some higher end bits that differentiate you, but you don't have to pick one or the other. It's just taking that step.
Brilliant.
I think we're done.
Much that's done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Apologies.